Hello, welcome to Louise Singleton Creations. We've had such a beautiful summer this year and I've enjoyed every single minute of it, especially growing vegetables in the garden. But summer is almost over and autumn is quickly approaching, and with that comes harvest time. It's time to harvest all those vegetables I've put so much effort into growing. Well, today's video is related to that because Boo and Nicole have sent me a big box full of beautiful moulds, and 5 of them were autumn related and actually harvest related too. So today you're going to be seeing me make 5 autumn related candle vessels. You'll also see me doing some painting on them and filling them with wax. If all of that sounds good, stay tuned and enjoy the video. The first mould that you will see me filling today is my large walnut shell mould. I did receive a large and a small walnut mould, but I did the small one off camera as a practice. The reason being, as you can see, it's a bit of an unusual mould and I wasn't sure what would be the best way to fill it. And we'll come back to that in a moment. First of all, let's mix up my Aquacast Eco Resin. I'd previously worked out exactly how much powder and water I would need by using the Aquacast calculator on the Elichem website. Basically, you need to know the volume of your mould, and to find the volume, you put it on the weighing scales and fill it with water, and you use that weight in grams in the volume calculator. However, when I looked on the Boo and Nicole website later on at the pictures of each mould, it actually tells you how much of the wallnut powder and liquid you need for each mould. And when I checked out the mixing ratio for wallnut, it's the same as Aquacast, so I could use their figures for all of their moulds. So in the past, when I've been filling them with water and using the Aquacast calculator, I didn't actually need to. So yeah, that makes life a lot easier. Anyway, back to explaining what you can actually see happening at the moment, which is me measuring out my powder and water ready to mix up. I'm only going to show and talk through the process once because I'm making quite a lot of candle jars today and I really don't think you need to see the whole process each time. After thoroughly mixing, all that was left to do was choose a colour that best looked like walnut to me. And so I had a look on the reference chart that I've recently made for myself for all my different homeware design pigments. And I ended up choosing autumn bark. But the problem is the bottle was nearly empty. So I used the last little bit from the autumn bark bottle and it did manage to go everywhere, but never mind. And then I added a little bit of cinnamon colour as well, just to darken it up a little bit more. So as I said before, the mould I'm using first is a little bit different to what you would normally see. And that's because this is the lid for the walnut candle jar and there isn't a flat side on it. So the inside obviously is hollow because it's going to be the shell lid and the outside can't be flat because it needs to be in the shape of a walnut. And so yeah, that's why the mould looks the way it does. There's no flat side, so it's not a regular kind of mould. And here you can see me clipping it together before pouring in the Aquacast solution through those little holes. And when I saw this being demonstrated on the Boo and Nicole website, I thought, oh, that looks a little bit tricky. And for my practice one, which I've already mentioned, what I did was I filled it with the top part of the mould taken off and I kept putting it on to see if it was filled up enough, and then I would take it off again, add a little bit more, put it back on, and I did it that way and it did work. However, it didn't work perfectly. It was like it raised the level of the inside of the top part of the mould. It's really hard to explain, but yeah, it didn't seem quite level when I put the two pieces together. Like, it's a bit like a sandwich, isn't it? When I put the top bit of bread on, there was a bit of a bulge at the top of the sandwich, like there was too much filling in. And so with this one, I decided to fill it the way they demonstrated on the website, which I should have trusted in the first place. It was a bit more tricky and a bit more messy, but it worked a lot better. And you know what? Once it had cured and I started to take these out of the mould, I didn't care that that lid mould had been a little bit difficult to fill. I knew I was going to be wanting to use it again and again because the walnuts looked so good. But I'm ahead of myself. You can't see them yet, can you? So let's get these moulds off. So already you can see it's looking good. It's a bit pale. It could have done with some more pigment in, but I'm going to be covering it in wax when it's dried out. And when you see me cover it with wax, it will completely transform it. So don't worry about the paleness. Just try to appreciate the form. It looks exactly like a real walnut, doesn't it? But yeah, I just think it's great. Can you imagine if it was a real walnut? You'd never walk under a walnut tree, would you, with walnuts that size? It'd knock you out if it fell on your head. Anyway, as you might have expected, the lid was going to need a little bit more attention. You can see the aquacast has seeped between the two parts of the mould a little bit there. So I'm just rubbing that off. It breaks easily. I thought I'd get that off before I start to demold it. And you can also see it's going to need sanding, just where the aquacast has come up through the cracks a little bit. But other than that, it's not too bad at all. A little bit of sanding isn't difficult. And quite honestly, when the finished product looks as good as this, you're really not going to care about a bit of sanding. Look at that. And it feels so good, you know, when you run your hands over it, it feels so nice. So yeah, I'll show you how I sanded it. It was very easy. I just quickly took a piece of coarse sandpaper and rubbed the lid around on it straight away, because it's still only just cured, so it's fairly soft and it does sand a lot easier. If you look at the guidelines for aquacast, I think it tells you to sand the next day when it's fully cured, but I actually prefer to do it straight away. It's much quicker and it's a little bit softer, and it's absolutely fine. I've never had a problem doing that. But yeah, if you're one of these people who likes to follow rules to the letter, wait until the next day. I think deep down I'm just a little bit of a rebel. With the sanding complete, that one was ready and it could be left to dry out, ready for the wax. And here's the smaller one to keep it company. That's the smaller practice one that I was talking about, and that one turned out beautifully as well. However, the colour is a little bit more uneven on that one. Doesn't matter though, you can't tell when it's finished. Next, it was time to start work on my 3 pumpkin moulds. I had a large one, a small one, and a tall, fatter one. And yeah, they come in all different shapes, sizes, colours and shades, don't they, pumpkins? So I was going to do a variety. I decided on 2 orangey, yellow coloured ones and 1 green one. Most of the moulds from Boo and Nicole come with mould housing, which is included in your purchase. And that mould housing helps the mould to keep its shape and not get distorted. Usually you would only need the mould housing for the large part of the mould and not the lid. As you can see there, the lid doesn't have any housing and it really doesn't need it. So there was one thing I was concerned about with these moulds. Because the pumpkins have a stalk sticking out the top, I was a little bit concerned that that stalk wouldn't be strong enough when it came to demolding. In the past, when I've got a mould from a different company for a pear and an apple, and they were designed for being used with resin, which is very strong. And when I tried aquacast in those moulds, because the stalk was so thin, it broke when it came to demolding, and I ended up putting wire in there. And so when I got these ones, I was slightly concerned that I might have the same problem. But the thing is, Boo and Nicole designed their moulds to be used with eco resin. And so everything has already been thought out. And I should have realised that because they've never let me down with a single mould yet. Each of these was absolutely fine when it came to demolding, and none of the stalks broke off. You will have noticed that I kept on squeezing the base of the mould. That was because I didn't want to have any air pockets trapped in the area where the stalk was, because that's the kind of place where it will get trapped. Now, you know, I was saying before that the calculations are already there on the Boo and Nicole website, so you know exactly how much water and powder to mix up. Well, it's quite generous. I had quite a lot left over, which is not a bad thing. When I use the Aquacast calculator, that is spot on, and you find yourself scraping the sides of your jar to get every last bit because it's so accurate. And sometimes it's better to have a little bit left over, I think. And yeah, so what I've been doing recently with my leftover is pouring it into a document pouch, spreading it out really thin as I can manage, and then once it's cured, I break it all up and use those flakes of Aquacast for the terrazzo effect. Right, let's get these out of the moulds and see how they turned out. One thing that you will find whenever you make the lid for a pot is air gets trapped underneath the rim of the mould where it's making that inset area. That's just where the pockets get trapped as they come up, and you can do all you like to get rid of them by using a tool to push around the inside of the mould to try and disturb the air pockets. But the likelihood is you're always going to get at least one air pocket trapped in there, like I did on this one. I think it was one of the other ones was worst. I can't remember, but soon on one of them, I can't remember which, it might have been this one, I will show you how you can rectify it quite easily. And it's not the end of the world if you have some, divots or pitting, whatever you want to call it, in the inside of your lid. It happens. The base is always much better because there's not space for them to get the air pockets to get trapped like there is with the lid. So let's have a look at it all together. So the first few times that I put the lids on the pumpkin jars, I was thinking, oh, this is a bit tricky because the lids only fit one way. There's one way to put the lid on, and that's the only way around it will work. So I was thinking, that's a bit awkward to have to like twist it round every time to find the right way. And then I realised a little bit later than I should have done. I think I must have been half asleep. But there's like a little, it's hard to explain it. There's like a little part on the inside of the lid that sticks out. If you look carefully, I think at some point when I was filming, I did demonstrate. But yeah. And then there's a little bit missing on the jar, and that fits into the missing bit. I know you're going to wonder what the heck I'm talking about. I will demonstrate soon. I'm sure I filmed that part. Anyway, it looks really good, doesn't it? I think these pumpkins are ace. I did decide that I wanted to paint them in the end. You don't have to. They look amazing just the way they are. And you could do some different effects whilst pouring your Aquacast or whatever eco resin you're using. You could do a marble effect or try different colours, whatever you like if you don't want to paint them. But I had a feeling I would be painting them, so I kept the base colours very simple. I just love the shape of this one. I think it's gorgeous. I think out of the three of them though, my favourite one is the largest one, which is more of a squat shape, and it's just so cute. I love it. So let's look at that one now. And yes, I did film what I was talking about. I thought I had. So here is that little bit that I mentioned. That little bit that's missing. When I first saw that on my first pumpkin, I thought it was an air pocket. It's not. It's part of the pumpkin. It's there on the mould. It's supposed to be like that. And on the lid, there's this little bit here that goes into the hole on the base, and that is your guide, so you know which way to put it on. And you might have also noticed there was a lot of pitting on the underside of this lid, which I will demonstrate how to sort that out very shortly. But before we do that, let's just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this one. Doesn't it just make you want to run your fingers all over it? Oh, it's so touchy-feely, this one. It's voluptuous. I love it to bits. Absolutely gorgeous. So let's sort out all that pitting on the lid. So here's a close-up, and as you can see, it really is quite bad. It's my own fault for not taking enough time and patience and effort when the aquacast had just been poured in to tap it as much as possible. Oh, there I am again, showing you the... yeah. It was my own fault. I should have spent more time on it. But never mind. Let's make some filler. All you have to do is take a small pot, add in a little bit of water and a little bit of your eco resin and mix it up until it becomes a paste. And use a little bit of the same colour that you've used in the piece that you're fixing. And then you can start filling in all those little gaps. Be patient with it, and don't be tempted to make the filler too thick, because what happens is once it comes into contact with your cured aquacast, the aquacast kind of sucks out the water from your paste, and all of a sudden your paste becomes very thick. So make it runnier than you think it's going to need to be. And then just smooth it on and fill in all those gaps. And then when all the gaps are filled and the filler is cured, you can sand it down if you need to smooth it and tidy it up. And your piece will look a lot better. I didn't actually do this on all of them. And I think it was just this one. Sometimes imperfections, if it's just one or two bubbles that have been there and you've got a couple of bits missing, it's just part of having a handcrafted product, isn't it? It doesn't need to be perfect, but this one did have rather a lot of gaps, and I thought it was kind of spoiling the look of it, so that's why I fixed this one. Moving on, and a couple of days later it was time to add some wax onto my walnut, and I was so excited about this because I always know how much the wax is going to transform the piece. I use Clark's wax for stone and concrete. That's my favourite. Not only does it work well, but it smells beautiful of oranges. I just love it. And let's see how it looks when it goes on. Already you can see it darkening up and starting to look more like the colour of a walnut. I think it's just so magical seeing it come to life. And the great thing is, because it's so textured, the wax isn't going into all those grooves so much. And so you're getting more contrast, and that texture really stands out even more. I just love it to bits. So let's look at it all finished and see how it looks. Wow. Isn't it amazing? What a transformation. just a bit of wax makes so much difference. And you might have noticed I only used it on the outside. I'm using the liquid sealer from Boo and Nicole on the inside of all of mine. I did 2 coats on the inside of all of the jars. I'm in the process of finding the best sealer for inside of candle jars, because I've had a few issues recently of the wax seeping through the aquacast, and so I need to rethink my sealer for the inside. And that's why this time I'm trying out the Boo and Nicole one, which I haven't tried on the inside of candle jars before. So now it's time to paint the pumpkins. That's a bit of a tongue twister. I'm using acrylic paint. I haven't sealed these jars yet. I'm going straight onto the aquacast, and yeah, the acrylic paint always seems to bond very well with it. I do have people often asking me how I seal them after I've painted them, and generally speaking, I don't seal them. The thing is, I always keep my candle jars for myself or give them as gifts. I don't sell them. So I think if people sell them, they're a little bit more concerned about finishing them off. But I've tried scratching them after the paint is completely dry, and it never comes off. It seems to be completely bonded. So if you have that question in your mind, how do I seal them? Well, the answer is I don't. But if I did, I would probably use some spray varnish, either gloss or matte, depending on the look you're going for. But it never really seems to need it. It's up to you. I think it's a question of choice. Anyway, I'm going to put some music on because I feel like I've waffled enough. Basically, all you really need to know about the painting is that what I was trying to do is use darker paint in the deep grooves and lighter paint on the outer extremities, I suppose. It's hard to explain it, but you'll see what I mean, just to get that feeling of depth. And here they are, all finished. What do you think? They're looking good, aren't they? They're just there, sat waiting patiently for some candle wax now. And once that's in and cured, you'll be able to see them all with their lids on. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with this selection. In most of them, I'm using beeswax, and I've got some fragrance in there as well. Because it was such a lot of wax, I didn't have quite enough fragrance of just one type to, add the fragrance to all of it. So I combined two. I combined some spiced apple and some vanilla and made my own fragrance, and it's really nice. And as you can see, I've used wooden wicks. I've used very large wooden wicks from Boo and Nicole in the larger, well, one large wooden wick in the big walnut, and smaller wooden wicks in the smaller ones. It depends on the size of your vessel, really, how big your wick needs to be. For the very large one, I've used three normal traditional wicks. I can't think what they're called. Cotton wicks, I suppose. And yeah, wood in the other ones. If you've got a very large candle jar, like the large walnut one, you can double up your wooden wicks, which makes it less likely to give you problems, of the wick going out. I do find that a doubled up wick really helps. People ask me for more information on the candle making part of it so often, but I'm really not that knowledgeable. I'm still learning how to get things just right, and I don't feel ready to teach people that part just yet. But when I feel like I've perfected it, I will. So here's my harvest. What do you think? I think they turned out so beautifully. I don't know which I like best. I don't know if I've got a favourite. I just love them all. They're all my favourite. But when Nicole do it every single time they send me some of the new designs, they just seem to get better with every new release. And every time I say, oh, this is my new favourite. And I'm going to say it again. These are my new favourites. I loved the acorn jar that they sent me last autumn. I love these even more. And yeah, they feel good. They're so touchy-feely. And they even sound good. Listen. Isn't that good? Is it just me that gets impressed by the way something sounds? I think it sounds so good. And yeah, they look good, they feel good, they sound good, they are good. So if you're interested, find the link in my video description and discount code to go and get yourself some of these moulds because they are so good. Boo and Nicole do ship worldwide, and I would highly recommend them for the quality as well, of the mould quality. They're so soft and supple and easy for demolding. But for the designs, you won't find such unique designs anywhere else. And that's what impresses me the most. So yeah, that's it for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to. And I will see you again next time. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.